The idea for the nights was the site was relatively small. I can't remember now how many square feet the whole thing was. But we thought that if we made smaller floors, again, it's this idea of not putting people in overwhelmingly large floors and, these photographs that you would see at that time of people desk after desk after desk and row after row. And I couldn't think of anything more awful than having to live your life like that. So I thought if we could make a smaller floor plate and have it be the center of the building and have it be small enough so you'd get a kind of community going. There would be 20, 30 or 40, 20, 30 people. And they would have windows all the way around. And then we'd put the stairs and the toilets in the corners, which is the opposite of what, of course, is done in any office building, where you put people in the corners with the corner offices, a law firm or something like that. But this was a different kind of situation because all of the office people would be on the top floors. So we thought that would be much nicer, and there were nice views out of it. You could see the harbor and all of that. So I had been up in Montreal doing some research on something else, and there was a building up there done by a famous engineer architect. It was one of the few buildings that I'd seen where they'd put the columns in the corner. And I was very interested in that because it seemed to make such a strong building. So I was going back and forth and back and forth. And there was this town, I don't know whether it was Waterbury, it's one of the towns on the way. And there was a large chimney stack. And I was very interested in that because it's sort of a brick stack, and I was very interested in the idea of building this cylindrical thing. And in the Midwest, there is a silo construction where they use this 12-inch by 12-inch interlocking tile to make the silo. And that's what, in fact, we did use. And we have the 4 towers are built, covered with that. And the 4 towers are concrete pours, and it was a non-stop pour as it went up. And then in between, we just spanned the steel in between that. So it's a very, very simple structural system and a very quick structural system. And it was very unique because it was a mixture of both steel and concrete, which was really not very often done. That was one of the issues. Then the other one was the problem of the sun penetrating into a building, and I'd been looking at the idea of shading the outside of the building, as we did subsequently. But in this case, it was a very simple thing to do because we had a beam spanning the 90 feet between the 2 concrete towers, and the beams from the inside come out and rest on that. And then between that, there's a 5-foot gap between that and the wall, and we put the louvers in there. So you had the louvers not as obvious shades or anything like that, but just as a shading device, and it became a fairly strong structural architectural statement as well. I think it's completely unique.